Hello, welcome back. This is Art of Cycling. I'm Greg Leach, and we're back at the Tour de France today. Well, we'll be here every day for a while, and it's been a sleeper of a day until we got to the intermediate sprint, and that set up me doing one of the things I don't normally do, because there was a crash as the sprint got about ready to happen, and it did not go well for one rider. And it looks like, I thought when this happened I saw somebody go off the side of the road, but I now don't see that. But this is not a good sign at all. Now, what I'm trying to do here while I talk is I'm running out of, actually that should have gone up more. Ruh-roh. Here's the problem with drawing with ink. There we go. And yeah, just so you know, I do create these pieces. There's no pencil sketch beforehand, but I get this, and I'm trying to paint these in the moment. Now I cheated a little bit. I mean, I am in the moment with this in that it just happened, but trying to get the right image. I do know what, and I'll talk about that in a second, what the outcome of this was, and I'm not happy about it. But so this is Jasper Philipsen on the ground, being looked after by his teammate. 107 is Johnny Vermeersch. Vermeersch is one of his lead-out train. It looks like Vermeersch is trying to pull his skin suit back up over his shoulders, or conversely, looking at just how badly scraped his shoulders are, because he went down. I mean, they were lining up. They were just about up to full speed for the sprint when it looked like the lead-out man for Gourmet swerved to miss what looked to be Cocard, the French sprinter, one of the French sprinters. And this is Sylvain Dillier, their breakaway killer, who I'm sure had just swung off the front. He's coming back. Because that's one thing, is like, all right, we need to make sure our guy's going to be all right, and if he is all right, we're going to have to pull him back up to the lead of the race. These bikes are not turning out as well as I would like. So both of these guys have stopped to make sure that they'll be there to take their guy on back up to the peloton once he can get back up. And unfortunately, I know that after they got him to the side of the road and the team doctors looked at him, they pulled out an arm sling, and that's when you know his race is over. Just before they had done that, the team director clearly knew what was up even before the doctors confirmed it, and waved both Delia and Vermeersch off, like, go, jump back on your bikes and go. And as soon as I saw that, I knew his race was over. And then when I saw the sling come out, you knew that he had broken his collarbone, or was at least suspected of it. So that's the general layout. So now I'm going to start laying in color. Call it end of his tour. So despite it being the 7th of July, 7th day of the 7th month, it was a very unlucky day for Philipson. Now the reason I'm sort of breaking my rule here is that this is significant to the outcome of the race. He has won the first stage and was the first yellow jersey of this tour. Yesterday that went over to his teammate who had let him out in the sprint the first day. And he has won the green jersey in the past, and he was certainly on target for maybe not winning it, but had the lead because he's in the green jersey, which you'll see in a second, and was showing signs that he was definitely up for the fight. So that's part of the reason I chose to paint this. Now it's time for Road Rash, which I kind of hate to do. But with the skin suit on, the skin suit is super tight, aerodynamic, one-piece kit. And the whole idea is that you're just that much more aerodynamic. There's no folds or puckers in the kit. So when it rips, in this case he took off so much of the back of it that he basically ended up without a shirt on at all. That was one of the things I was initially wondering, is like, how is he going to continue? He's intrinsically naked. That's one of the things. Yesterday there was a crash. Crashes are unfortunately an inevitable part of racing. Let's face it, they're almost an inevitable part of bike riding. So, but I can't remember, one of the Lotto riders, they went down in a little group crash, and one of the guys, finally the cameraman stopped showing him, but he was basically riding bare ass for the rest of the stage. He just took off the way his kit is made. They have a little, just looking to see if I could see one of their kits. Now, they have a little swatch down the bottom, and apparently that fabric held, but it tore underneath. So we were looking at cheek and crack. I was kind of thinking of that when this happened. Going, how is he going to get back on the bike and ride? I mean, one, because he wrecked so hard. I'm also figuring out here that the bike in front of him here, so this is just how conditioned they are. Johnny has picked up Jasper's bike and he's holding it for him. You know, they get the bike ready. It's like this thing that they'll do is like, boom, okay, I went down, we got to get ready. There's invariably a meme that goes around during the tour comparing soccer players or football players, if you prefer, who, you know, fall down and writhe on the ground at the slightest little contact. And it's always compared against the tour riders who, I mean, if he had not broken his arm, most likely, his collarbone, even, well, like I said, the guy before I was talking about earlier, they will get back on the bike. I mean, they're tough birds. I mean, that's the whole idea of riding the Tour de France, roughly 3,000 miles in roughly 3 weeks. It's a pretty insane endeavor to begin with. So it's not, you don't do that unless you're very tough, because there's a lot of suffering, even if you stay upright the entire tour. There's still the aches and pains and muscle cramps and just plain sore muscles from that much riding. And the whole thing is just a very grueling sport. It is said, I mean, in the tours, gotten a lot more humane than it started out. If you can believe that. I mean, they had 400-kilometer stages in the early days of the tour. It is said that one of the riders, after a stage in the early days, called the organizers assassins because it was just that hard. And back then, you weren't allowed any of the kind of assistance that they get now. I mean, if you had a flat tire, you changed your tire. If your bike broke, well, you had to figure out a way to fix it. And the story goes that one of the racers broke a fork, but he happened to be a blacksmith, so he went into a town and found a forgery, and he was the one who reforged his wheel, or his fork rather. It's back in steel bikes, obviously. But he was still disqualified because the blacksmith assistant operated the bellows, and therefore it was determined that he got assistance and therefore was disqualified. Which seems a bit harsh. So I'm coming in on finishing this piece, just like Jasper's tour is finished. He's the third guy to go out in this year's tour. But so I'll say to be sure that you can find all of my work at the artofcycling.blogspot.com, and there'll be a link there. And speaking of links, there'll be a link down below. And when you go there, you'll also find links that will take you to each of the paintings covered in the post. And there you can purchase the paintings, and those links will take you to my website. And a number of them have sold, roughly a quarter, but there's still plenty available, and of course I'll be doing these every day, so but the website is gregleach.com, so thanks for watching. Sorry for the relatively gruesome image, and like I say, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, tell me what you think. I always get mad at NBC for showing crashes, and then here I am painting one. But thanks for watching, folks. Truly appreciate it.